Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. My name is Brian, and we talk about Blu-rays here. I've got the new disc box out, which means I'm going to go through some new stuff I've gotten. Some of it I've just gotten, and some of it I've had a little peek at. All right. Let us start with Sam Peckinpah. Why not? So this is the new Kino Blu-ray of Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia from the great Peckinpah. And interesting. It says it's the 2017 HD master from a 4K scan of the original camera negative, which would lead me to believe, what year did this one come out? 2016. Maybe it's not the same transfer. I don't know. But we can go through these two in a quick second here. This is the old Twilight Time version. I really like this movie. I think it's one of Peckinpah's better films, although I've seen it weirdly on like worst films lists and stuff, and I don't fully get that. I think, if nothing else, the Warren Oates performance alone makes it worthy in terms of both his filmography and Peckinpah's. But it's just one of those movies that somehow some people respond to and some don't, I guess. But the back of this says the great Warren Oates playing the lead role here. He's it says, when a Mexican land baron puts $1 million on the head of the man who seduced and impregnated his daughter, two money-hungry hired killers recruit a small-town bartender, Warren Oates, to help them do their dirty work. But their tequila-fueled trek across the desolate Mexican frontier grows more intense, gruesome, and bloody with every savage murder they leave in their wake. Some people will do anything for $1 million. So that doesn't really tell you too much, and I don't want to tell you too much, honestly, about this one. I really feel like this is a film that, if you're open to it, if you're open to both Peckinpah kind of doing his thing and Warren Oates performing in one of his best performances, I think you would enjoy this film. Enjoy, for what it is. It's not necessarily an upbeat movie by any means, but it's definitely a movie that I find to be very memorable. So in case you never got a hold of the Twilight Time version of this film, now you can own most of the extras from that version. So let me just show you. This is what this one looks like on the back. Crack this open, actually. And I notice it has the commentaries from the Twilight Time version. Those have been ported over, okay? So here's... I'm probably going to... Yeah, I think I'm going to flip it. Just let you guys see that inside artwork. And so your commentary tracks are as follows. Actually, I'm really always impressed with the group of gents that they get. Here's what that alternate artwork looks like. To do these commentaries, they're a group of guys that do all the Peckinpah discs from DVDs on through Blu-rays. And they always do an interesting job. And so you have in the first track commentary with co-writer, associate producer Gordon Dawson, moderated by the late Nick Redman of Twilight Time. And then you also have another audio commentary with Paul Sador, Garner Simmons, David Weddle, and Nick Redman. Those are the gents that do all the Peckinpah stuff. And then you have the trailers from hell from Joss Olson. Now, on the Twilight Time version, you have a little bit more than that. So you have those two commentaries, and then you have something called The Passion and the Poetry, Sam Stewart film, A Writer's Journey, Garner Simmons with Sam Peckinpah in Mexico, and then promoting Alfredo Garcia. So you get a couple extra featurettes on the, I think now out of print, Twilight Time version. So if you just want the movie and a couple commentaries, then your Kino is the way to go. If you're a diehard and you want everything, then you might have to seek out the old Twilight Time. But that said, that is a great movie and looks like a great release from Kino. Here is a new Blu-ray from Kino as well, Film Worker. This is a 2017 documentary about Leon Vitali, who was Kubrick's, like, I don't know, kind of right-hand man for a while. He was a rising British television actor when Stanley Kubrick cast him as Lord Bullington in Barry Lyndon, and that was their first sort of encounter. And the I don't know, I guess Leon really made an impression, and he swiftly resolved to devote the rest of his life working for Kubrick. And this time, you know, sort of behind the scenes, he went away from acting and took on just about every job available, from, you know, casting director, acting coach, location scouter, sound engineer, color corrector, AD, promoter, and eventually restorer of Kubrick's films. And so this documentary profiles the devoted film worker, Leon, and his preferred job title, as he enthusiastically recounts his days. Yeah, he calls himself a film worker. With the notoriously meticulous, volatile, and obsessive director that is Stanley Kubrick. So this is just a fascinating portrait of a man who worked closely with one of cinema's greats. And I really, really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. And it's just one of those sort of stories that, I don't know, you as a film fan, it's exciting to see and hear him talk about his experiences. And yeah, I just really dug this movie. So I had the DVD prior to this, so I had seen there is a Q&A with Leon Vitali and director Tony Ziera. That's one of the features. But I was excited that this got a nice Blu-ray release because I thought it was only going to be DVD. So if you're into behind-the-scenes film-making documentaries, this is one of my favorites in the past 4 or 5 years. So definitely check out Film Worker. Next, we have one from Paramount. This is the John Hughes 5-movie collection. 3 of the 5 have been available on Blu-ray before. 2 of them are making their Blu-ray debuts in this set, which I find an interesting release strategy. Instead of putting them out, I mean, they may come out solo after this, but so if you look, here's what it looks like on the back. Inside you have the 5 discs. Okay, so if you look, you have Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Pretty in Pink. Now, all 3 of those have gotten Blu-ray releases. Pretty in Pink, most recently, a Paramount Presents Blu-ray, and that's definitely the same disc you're getting here. Yeah, Filmmaker Focus. Yeah, it's the same one. So, if you don't have the Pretty in Pink Paramount Presents Blu-ray, you're getting that disc in the set. Now, She's Having a Baby and Some Kind of Wonderful have never been on Blu-ray before, and so you're getting them debuting in this set. I am of the mindset that I kind of prefer Some Kind of Wonderful to Pretty in Pink, but that's just me. But this set looks interesting in that it has like more features. Basically what I'm saying is that Some Kind of Wonderful looks to have more features on it than the Pretty in Pink Paramount Presents Blu-ray that you get here. So on Some Kind of Wonderful, you get a commentary with director Howard Deutsch and Leah Thompson, now married, of course. Back to Wonderful, a conversation with director Howard Deutsch, the making of Some Kind of Wonderful, and meet the cast of Some Kind of Wonderful, as well as a John Hughes time capsule. So that's a pretty well put together, stacked little disc, little release of an 80s classic. So there's a lot to be had there. Now, She's Having a Baby, I remember liking, not loving, but, you know, it's been a really, really long time since I've seen it. So I'll be honest, it could be something that I'll relate to a little bit more now that I have children. In fact, I don't think I've watched it since I had a child of my own. So that said, this disc has something called From the Archives. Kevin Bacon interviews John Hughes. So that's a cool little, old archival interview with him. And then Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The thing about that is that I don't see it here. The commentary track that John Hughes did on the DVD, the Paramount DVD, I've always loved that track, and it's never, as far as I know, I don't think it's ever reappeared on a Blu-ray, and it doesn't appear to be here. So they have features including getting the class together, the cast of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the making of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and who is Ferris Bueller, as well as something called The World According to Ben Stein, and vintage Ferris Bueller The Lost Tapes. So actually there's a lot of stuff on that Blu-ray, but I believe it might be the same as the one previous. In fact, I'm pretty sure that all these are basically identical to their, previous releases. For Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, you have Getting There Is Half the Fun, the story of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, as well as John Hughes' Life Moves Pretty Fast, a 2-part documentary. Part 1, John Hughes, The Voice of a Generation. Part 2, Heartbreak and Triumph, the legacy of John Hughes, and John Hughes for Adults, as well as a tribute to John Candy. And then, let's see here. Yeah, I already talked about Pretty in Pink is the same as that Paramount Presents. It's filmmaker focus with director Howard Deutsch. The Lost Dance, the original ending, which is an interesting feature, and an isolated score in the trailer. So this is a neat set if you're an 80s movie fan and you don't have all of these, and or if you want to finally have Some Kind of Wonderful and She's Having a Baby on Blu-ray. This is what you want to do. That is that set. Next up, this was slightly reduced. I want to say it was like $17. And with a movie like this, shot by Ernest Dickerson, a Spike Lee classic, I couldn't not pick it up on 4K Ultra HD. And it looks good. It looks real good. I already have the Criterion Blu-ray of this, but I thought I couldn't not have it in 4K. So I'm glad I picked it up. I haven't double-checked, but there may be some extras here that aren't on the Criterion release that may have been part of a Universal Motion Pictures Blu-ray. It says it has over 4 hours of bonus features. So there's like a Spike Lee introduction, Do the Right Thing 20 years later, deleted and extended scenes, behind the scenes, the making Do the Right Thing, the riot sequence, and a feature commentary with Spike Lee and more. So there's a lot of stuff here that, like I said, I haven't double checked it, but I think there might be a few things that don't make it to the Criterion. Don't quote me on that. But if you're a fan of good-looking cinematography in 4K, I think you want this. It's good stuff. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is an older Shout Select, or is it even? No, it's just straight Shout Factory release of a TV movie that Linda Blair did in 1977. I thought it was 70. Oh, no, it's 75. Sorry. Sarah T. Portrait of Teenage Alcoholic. This is a very famous TV movie that was bootlegged for years, and you could only get it, in a fourth generation VHS rip, to DVD. And so it was really neat to see this get a new 2K scan of the original film elements, and it's got some nice extras on it too. Anyway, it's a story about a young girl played by Linda Blair who is an alcoholic. She is, over a period of time prior to when the film starts, she's become addicted to drinking, and the movie opens with like this crazy, almost creepy, very creepy beer commercial that's just like a bunch of adults like playing, pickup football. It's like women bikinis, and they're just hanging out, having the best time. It's clearly a commercial that's saying, if you're drinking, you're living your best life, basically. But it is representative of the kind of beer commercials that we kind of still see today in a way, but definitely were prevalent in the 1970s. And then it moves right into a scene at a party at Sarah's house. She lives with her mother, played by Verna Bloom, and her stepdad, played by William Daniels, and they're having a work party or a cocktail party, and all the adults are drinking and loaded, and Emmett Walsh even offers her a drink, and then later we see her sort of gulping down the last of, some drinks that adults had left on bars and tables around the house, and you're immediately like, uh-oh, something's not right here. So eventually she becomes involved with Mark Hamill, who is the son of Emmett Walsh, who is like the partner of William Daniels' character. And I feel like he's a little bit older than her, but he takes her to a party and, gets her a drink, and he doesn't know that she has a problem, and it ends up going really badly. And the movie sort of progresses in a way where we start to see how she's adapted to filling her habit, always being able to get drinks. She has a little trick that she does where she'll call, I don't know if it's a supermarket or a liquor store, but she'll have booze delivered, and she'll have the shower running in another room, and she'll basically say, oh, my mom's in the shower, here's the money, unless you want to wait, and most of the time they don't. So she just gets the booze that way and stuffs it in her closet, and, is drinking at school, and it's a sad portrayal ultimately, and sort of a story of a decline of a young person. And there's a really great performance in here from Michael Lerner, who is like I can't remember if he's a therapist, but I think of him sort of along the lines of Judd Hirsch in Ordinary People, where he's there to try and help Sarah, but he's very tough love. He's very like, did you have a drink before you came in here today? Just like very direct, and just isn't beating around the bush, because he knows the kind of person he's dealing with, and that he has to be kind of very serious about it, and her dad is played by Larry Hagman, and he's a total drunk, and that's kind of a mess, and he sort of lives out of town, and he comes into town to see her every once in a while, and so she's got kind of a sad life, and it is a sad spiral kind of where it goes, but I think the movie has been categorized in some people's minds as sort of a campy, over the top kind of TV movie, and there are those out there, and I can see why it might be categorized that way, but I do think this one has a bit more, I don't know, stuff in it that makes me feel more affected. It really hooks me. I think the performances by Linda Blair and Mark Hamill are really strong and really powerful, and they really care about each other. And so the movie ultimately moves me, as sad as it is and as bad as it gets at some points, because she does hit some rock bottoms here that are pretty tough. But I think her performance here is, showing her growing as an actor from The Exorcist. And there's a great interview here with Richard Donner and producer David Levinson. And Richard Donner, of course, director of, the Superman movies, and just a big-time director. And he's really proud of this TV movie they did in 1975. Like, he took it seriously, and I think it shows. And then there's an interview with Linda Blair, and she talks about how much she learned from, I think, both Mark Hamill and Richard Donner about acting and performance, and just finding her way and getting better at what she does through this film. So I think that's a really neat story that's involved in this too. Anyway, I'm going on and on about Sarah T. I just really like this movie. I think it's a really powerful film, and I love that it's available on Blu-ray through Shout Factory. So it's been out for a while, but I just want to include it in this video because I haven't talked about it on the channel, and I think it's worthwhile. So that's that one. And speaking of Mark Hamill, this was on sale for like $6. And I think this is a really interesting movie from a couple years ago now. And I want to see what the back says because I don't want to spoil it too much. It says, James has grown up with the Goofy Kids show Brigsby Bear, and the program has grown with him as well. One dramatic night, James's insular world is upended. Upon learning the series has been canceled, he adopts the old adage that the show must go on. By becoming Brigsby Bear's new creator, James finally builds meaningful connections his life has lacked. Okay, good. That doesn't really spoil some of the big turns in the movie. The Kyle Mooney, that's him in the middle there. He lives in this like weird hippie biodome thing. It seems very isolating. And Mark Hamill is his father. I can't remember if it's his real. I think it's his father. And there's a lot going on in this movie that I don't want to talk about, but it's a really intriguing drama that's definitely offbeat. I just don't want to talk about it too much. I just want people to see this movie. If you haven't seen Brigsby Bear, I know a lot of people know about this one because it came out several years ago now. But again, when I saw this Blu-ray was on sale for like $6, I was like, I got to get it. This has a Brigsby Bear lost episode. And just so you know, like Brigsby Bear is that weird looking bear in there in the middle. And he's sort of, it's this, kids show that Kyle Mooney watches on these old tapes, and it's really lo-fi and he's just addicted to it. So anyway, there's a Brigsby Bear lost episode. There's extended deleted scenes. There's the wisdom of Brigsby Bear, an evening with Brigsby Bear, Twin Speak, Kyle and Dave, which is Dave McCrary and Kyle Mooney, who is also a co-writer on this, by the way, talking. And then there's a commentary with Kyle Mooney and Dave McCrary as well, which I'm really excited to hear. I would love to hear their thoughts on both the writing and the filmmaking involved in this one. And then, of course, as you can see, you also have Greg Kinnear, Claire Danes, Matt Walsh. It's a really interesting cast. And yeah, just one of the better movies that I've seen in the last 5-10 years. So definitely worth checking out. It may still be on sale. Then I haven't had a chance to get into these too much, but I've got 3 Blu-rays from Mill Creek. I was most looking forward to this one, The Cowboy Way, with Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland. And I just did not remember this movie much at all, other than it was about 2 cowboys who go to New York and like they're riding horses around Central Park or something like that. I don't know. It says a missing girl has Sutherland and Harrelson saddled up for big trouble as they set out to find her within the Badlands of New York City. Featuring plenty of excitement and nonstop laughs, The Cowboy Way is a wildly funny edge-of-your-seat romp. But yeah, I love the sort of fish-out-of-water-ness of it, and I do like Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland. Actually, I like Kiefer Sutherland a lot, but I often like him paired with other actors. And Woody, I always like paired with, I don't know, he just does it like the Wesley Snipes stuff, and he just is one of those actors for me that can play the comedy and the drama. And he's obviously leaned much more into the drama in the more recent years, but this is back when he still did comedy, but he always could sort of bring some pathos, bring some moments of sadness or whatever that you buy and you don't laugh off because he's just that kind of an actor. So I was excited for this one to get a Blu-ray, and it looks good. No extras on it, but still just excited to have it. Next we have The Net and The Net 2.0. The Net, of course, is notoriously the favorite film of Carl Reiner. That's not a joke. The late Carl Reiner would often tweet about how much he liked The Net. I don't believe ironically. I believe he genuinely likes this film. I have a fondness for it only because it is from, 1995, and I have a weird affection for films with technology that is so outdated. I mean, granted, it's only like 26 years now, but the computer and internet technology in the film is just so silly, or it seems so now, based on what we have, that I find that kind of amusing. And the thriller aspects, I don't fully buy. I remember Jeremy Northam being the villain, and this has, of course, Dennis Miller when he was in his prime doing himself, just being Dennis Miller in movies. And I feel like the Suspense is Killing Us, which is a great podcast that I do recommend everybody check out. They have done an episode on including the net somewhere, and it was pretty funny if I remember. But yeah, anyway, I've always found the movie kind of still amusing despite the datedness. The Net 2.0, I didn't really even know existed, honestly. It looks like it came out in 2005, and it says Charles Winkler directs this update of the Sandra Bullock vehicle, the Net, following the computer systems analyst Hope Cassidy, Nikki DeLoach, as she begins a new job in Istanbul, Turkey. But before she can settle in, she discovers a few problems. Her credit cards don't work, her bank account is empty, and her identity has been stolen. She's definitely being watched. So sounds like close to a straight remake of the first movie, but I'm curious about, 10 years later. I mean, still dated technology, but I'm still curious to check it out. So that is the Net 2.0. Again, no extras on these, but always nice to have Blu-rays of these films. And then we have Breach, which directed by Billy Ray. I don't know why I didn't remember that director, but I do remember Chris Cooper in this movie, and Ryan Philippe and Laura Linney. And it says it's inspired by the true story of the greatest security breach in U.S. history. And it says U.S. intelligence history, apparently. It says Breach is the spellbinding thriller starring Academy Award winner Chris Cooper, Ryan Philippe, Academy Award nominee Laura Linney, and Dennis Haysbert. And it says Eric O'Neill, Philippe, is assigned to work with the renowned operative Robert Hansen, Chris Cooper, the sole subject of long-term top-secret investigation. Determined to draw this suspected double agent out of deep cover, O'Neill finds himself in a lethal game of spy versus spy where nothing is as it seems. I do remember this having some good suspense to it and really digging, again, I'm just a big Chris Cooper fan in general. So I just remember liking him and finding him menacing and scary in this movie. Ryan Philippe, I'm okay with, and Laura Linney I love. So overall, it's a cast that I find affable, and I was definitely into the movie. I think I saw this in the theater, but I'm not sure if I've seen it since. So I'm kind of curious to rewatch and to see if the suspense is still what I recall it to be. But anyway, that's 3 quick ones from Mill Creek Entertainment. And they are always economical in terms of the costs that you throw down for their Blu-rays. So if you're interested in any of those titles, they will be available relatively cheap for collectors. Anyway, that'll do it for this collection update. I should have another one soon. I've actually gotten some kind of cool stuff that I'm going to try to dig into a little bit more than I have with this group, and doing another update coming very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you've picked up anything good recently in the comments below, and give a like to the video if you like these kinds of videos, which seem to be the more popular videos on the channel. So I think you guys like them, but let me know below. Anyway, thank you.